An ordinary man named Nada loses his job and looks for a new life, and now he travels across his country. Because of that, he finds himself in a metropolitan city, a place for many towering buildings and abundant opportunities. The man looks for a formal job opportunity in a job center. Many other people also gather there to look for work. During the job interview, Nada opens up to a female HR about his unfortunate situation. Many businesses in his hometown suddenly close, making many people lose their jobs. The woman feels uninterested, then tells him that he doesn't have the required work experience, and finally, Nada fails to pass the job interview. The man walks out of the employment center with a dissatisfied expression on his face. Nada finds a preacher while aimlessly walking down the city streets, and stops to listen to what he says. In an emotional sermon, the pastor tells the handful of people present that demons have taken over the minds of the earth's elite and use them to control everyone. Wake up from your sleep and free yourself from the grip of the ruling class, the man says. When Nada sees a police car, he chooses to keep walking. He passes a strange man on his way who seems hypnotized while watching useless advertisements on a TV set up behind a store window, but Nada ignores him and continues his walk. The next day, Nada goes to a construction site to get a position as a laborer. The foreman initially refuses Nada, but after seeing Nada's appearance, Nada manages to convince the foreman, who then hires him after a salary negotiation. Beads of sweat form on the man's forehead as he starts working, just like everyone else. Even though his job situation is now settled, he will only receive his money in a few days, leaving him without a place to sleep again. The workers notice that the new employee is upset, but a man named Frank offers to show him a place with food and hot water. Even though he doesn't trust him at first, Nada eventually decides to follow his new friend. They are able to connect and share stories along the way. Frank introduces the wanderer to friendly locals who have traveled from all over to this city to seek fortune and takes him to a camp. Everyone helps to support each other, even the youngest ones. Not long after meeting Nada, a local man named Gilbert gives him the responsibility of making the camp more comfortable. When lunchtime comes, they serve a delicious meal to Nada. Frank shares stories about his life with Nada while eating. He follows Nada's path by moving to a new city to look for job opportunities so that he can support his family in his hometown. When Nada walks around the camp at night, he sees a group of locals eagerly watching a TV advertisement showing fake nails. During a broadcast interruption, an anxious man appears on the screen. He asserts that they all inhabit an artificially created world. He claims that a team of researchers has found evidence of extraterrestrial signals that lure humans and make them unable to think rationally. The number of people living in poverty increases, and racial injustice also rises. Aliens indoctrinate humans to only care about themselves and their immediate needs. Yet the locals ignore the frightening TV message from the strange man. The only thing they do is change the channel while complaining about their headaches. A blind pastor stands near the crowd, and Nada notices that he shouts along with the broadcast. In an instant, Gilbert runs toward the pastor. Nada suspects they are arguing because he cannot hear a single word they say. Gilbert quickly guides the old man to the church in the camp. Nada keeps watching the people who flee with suspicion, as if they are hiding something. When Nada sees Gilbert at the camp entrance the next morning, he decides to ask him about his activities at the church the previous night. According to the man, he spends the night in the church kitchen because it is the only place that can help him organize his things. Besides that, Gilbert tells him that he is a member of the church choir and that practice will begin soon. Once again, the TV screen displays the same broadcast featuring the mysterious man, who immediately urges that the hypnotic signal be shut down. Feeling very worried, Gilbert rushes back to the church, and this time Nada decides to follow him. Because he can hear the choir singing from inside the church, he thinks no one will suspect him if he enters. He finds a small chemistry lab and an enigmatic message on the church wall. They live, we sleep. He also hears the choir singing loudly through a tape recorder. It turns out this only masks the sounds of a secret meeting behind the wall, where Gilbert the TV repairman and other members of a secret group are trying to hack the TV channel so they can play their recording longer and attract more viewers. They want to reach the public with their ideas more effectively, so they try to recruit as many people as possible. After Nada overhears them talking, he steps back and accidentally discovers a secret wooden cabinet full of boxes. As he is about to leave, he meets the blind pastor and decides to postpone solving this mystery for now. The pastor lets Nada go after examining his hands and face. When he sees that Nada is the worker, he immediately talks about revolution. All of this disturbs Nada, and he runs out of the church. The congregation becomes more anxious when a police helicopter suddenly appears and begins circling the church. As the helicopter keeps flying, Nada gets binoculars from a nearby teenager and carefully monitors the church. After Gilbert and his men leave the church, they load the car with cardboard boxes. Frank interrupts Nada while he is watching the situation. Nada quickly tells his friend about what he sees in the church, but Frank warns him not to get involved because he also doesn't want to cause trouble. The vehicle carrying the packages leaves the churchyard at the same time. Nada spends the whole day peering through the binoculars at the church, but he doesn't see anything. When night comes, the police surround the camp and the church. The people who witness it are surprised, unsure about the accusations made against them. The residents flee in fear when the police, backed by bulldozers, start to tear down many of their tents and trailers. As the police brutally destroy the lives of innocent people, Nada feels horrified watching the chaos unfold. After seeing the pastor and others beside him, the law enforcement officers arrested them. Despite their best efforts, the police keep beating them until they pass out. While Nada is powerless to save the hostages already captured by the police, he saves a frightened teenager who seeks shelter in a nearby corner. After successfully avoiding the authorities, Nada and the frightened teenager rush to the upper floor of a rundown church. After wandering aimlessly through the corridors, they finally find the last room where the survivors hide. They spend the night in the shelter, unsure about the reason for the raid. When they wake up, they leave their hiding place to survey the remains of the camp after the horrific events of the previous night. To their surprise, they find a TV in the middle of the camp, still operating and playing funny commercials, even though the camp is damaged from the eviction. Meanwhile, Nada decides to check the hidden wooden cabinet in the church. During yesterday's raid, the writing on the wall beside it had already disappeared. One box left in the kitchen is identical to the box Gilbert hurriedly carried yesterday, and Nada finds it. A patrol car quickly passes by the church, making Nada immediately take cover. Curious about the contents from the city, Nada opens the box after finding a safe place. With a pair of glasses found inside, he thinks he can avoid pursuit by the police by wearing them, and stores the other pair in a nearby trash bin. Nada puts on his glasses while walking around the city, and he finds that his vision is greatly disturbed. Suddenly, the world that once felt so familiar looks completely different. All signs and billboards display the same thing with different words through his glasses. Obey, marry, reproduce, consume, buy, don't think, watch TV, and so on. He sees a series of manipulative expressions in magazines that demand obedience instead of beautiful images. The glasses reveal terrifying monsters hiding behind people who appear normal. To confirm that the man in front of him truly resembles an alien, he takes them off and puts them back on several times. Luckily for Nada, the strange man stays silent and alert. Nada puts the glasses back on, and this time, he sees the words "This is your God" printed on the currency. In addition, he learns that every traffic light in the city has a transmitter that emits a mesmerizing sound. Repeatedly, the transmitter repeats the command, sleep. Nada quickly learns that each person has different needs. He is amazed to see ordinary people peacefully interacting with what appears to be monsters from outer space. When Nada enters a supermarket, he listens to a politician's speech on television. This revelation causes the man to laugh uncontrollably. The woman pushing him, who also looks terrifying through his glasses, becomes the subject of his mockery. The more he tries to convince the ordinary people around him that the monsters they face are real, the more he exposes himself. Using a walkie-talkie in her watch, the woman informs the other aliens about a man who can see their true appearance. After receiving the message, other aliens start to approach him, making Nada panic and run into the street. At this point, a swarm of aliens stares at him, but he keeps mocking the alien woman until fake police quickly arrest him. During the interrogation, they ask Nada where he gets the glasses, but he stays silent. Next, the guards try to intimidate him and persuade him to come with them. But Nada will not back down without a fight. So he subdues the police, seizes their weapons, and then leaves the scene. Police cars soon arrive at the location, so Nada, fully armed, takes cover inside a building. While there, he also finds that half of the guests are aliens. Fueled by adrenaline, the man unleashes his rage on the aliens disguised as humans. Before Nada gets shot, one of the aliens contacts a different police squad until he vanishes after teleporting. Nada then runs out of the building, but a drone follows him as he tries to outrun the alien. After bringing it down, Nada meets a woman named Holly in a private parking lot. He then kidnaps the woman, asks her to take him to her home, and insists on her humanity. After trying to justify his behavior, Nada nearly passes out on the floor of Holly's house, looking exhausted. He warns her that evil creatures have taken over their world and threaten to harm everyone. Holly refuses to wear the sunglasses and see for herself, even though Nada urges her, because she doesn't trust him. Holly tries to slip past the man when he closes his eyes from exhaustion, but he keeps an eye on her. Nada wants to disrupt the alien signal because he remembers they use TV. But when the man lets his guard down, the woman quickly smashes a bottle and pushes him out the window, and Nada ends up falling down. Nada loses his sunglasses, but miraculously survives the fall from the second floor. At the same time, Holly contacts the authorities and tells them what happened. The guards try to capture Nada once again, forcing him to take shelter under a bridge. The man travels to a different neighborhood after dark and sleeps on the street. To ask for Frank's help in fighting the aliens, he returns to the construction site the next day. His friend is afraid of the recent mass shooting carried out by Nada, where he killed many people. Nada tries to explain to Frank that they are not humans but aliens in disguise, but Frank doesn't believe him and orders Nada to leave. Nada then returns to the place where he stores the sunglasses, only to find that all the trash bins are empty. Nearby, the man sees a garbage truck parked. Peeking from behind the trash bin, he finds several pairs of glasses still there after climbing into the truck bed. During Nada's dumpster adventure, Frank unknowingly becomes a witness. After explaining that he cannot keep helping his friend, Frank pays him his wages. Wanting him to see the real world as well, Nada begs his friend to put on the glasses, but Frank is convinced that his friend has lost his mind and refuses to take them. Disgusted by the misunderstanding, Nada decides to punch his friend, causing a fierce fight between the two. Finally, after kicking his friend to the floor, Nada forces the glasses on him. Frank is shocked and horrified by the reality, but eventually he trusts Nada. The group of friends stays at a local hotel and plans their next move while they are there. Assuming that others also see the aliens, Frank thinks that they should look for people who are also aware of them. Gilbert meets his friends at the hotel in the morning, and he also wears a pair of glasses. That night, he delivers an invitation to a clandestine meeting attended by people who share the same views as them. After reaching the location, the two friends meet a rebel team from various age groups. They exchange the glasses for new contact lenses, which are easier to see through and provide sharper images. In great detail, Gilbert identifies the creatures that flood the planet. It turns out the extraterrestrial invaders actually look for ordinary people to join their cause, offering power and wealth in exchange for endless devotion. They see Earth only as a commercial company and a short-term raw material supply for the third world. And they're also responsible for climate change and global disasters. The aliens will enslave new planets after they deplete Earth's resources. Frank decides to steal an alien watch after seeing it demonstrated by a member of the resistance unit. The alien device, which allows limitless movement through space and communication among themselves, has a secret code they have not yet deciphered. After gathering everyone, Gilbert announces that they still lack the manpower to launch a massive attack. However, the group is aggressive and demands immediate action, so Gilbert tries to convince the crowd by proposing that they should break into the signal's source to cut off communications. As soon as Holly enters the room, she offers a suggestion about where the signal is located. She apologizes to Nada for the previous misunderstanding at her home, thinking that Nada is an alien merely pretending to be human. Their conversation abruptly ends when the police suddenly arrive and start shooting at the crowd. Even though Nada, Frank, and Holly manage to escape the building unharmed, their escape attempt results in the death or injury of most of the resistance members. With their weapons ready, the two friends retaliate against the aliens before taking cover in an alley. Nada plans to find Holly at the massacre site, but Frank forbids him from doing anything too risky. In his attempt to figure out how the watch works, to intercept alien communications, he accidentally opens a portal to another dimension. The only choice for the two friends is to jump into the portal as the police approach their hiding place. So they jump in, and finally, they arrive at the alien base. And carefully moving along the corridor, the two friends unexpectedly find an alien checkpoint. They arrive at a dinner banquet, where the spokesperson of the Alien Alliance, wearing an expensive suit, gives a speech praising the virtues of the organization. With great joy, He tells the invited guests that the aliens will soon conquer Earth, bringing tremendous benefits to the human ruling class. After that, he informs the audience of their success rate, which makes everyone happy and leads to loud applause. One former camp resident, who also sides with the invaders, approaches his friends. He is surprised to learn that the aliens have also recruited Nada and Frank, who in his view are still wearing poor clothing. As part of his plan to show the recruits around the base, the man takes them to the alien airport. From this planet, aliens inside human bodies can travel to various parts of the galaxy. After that, they travel to the backstage area of a television studio, which serves as the command center. The satellite transmits a signal worldwide, enslaving the minds of ordinary humans. As a joke, Nada persuades their tour guide to let them enter the TV studio, but the guard will not allow them in without special permission. Eventually, the group decides to use violence to fight the aliens. The traitor takes the opportunity to escape from the room when a soldier breaks in. Armed with their weapons, the two friends storm the studio and head to the main office, where the recruited humans are working hard. No one knows where Holly is, so Nada interrogates the staff to find her. But he finds out that the signal that hypnotizes people is located at the top of the building. In their haste to reach the rooftop, they meet Holly, who has miraculously made it to safety. The three of them go up to the top floor and start shooting at the aliens, but Holly then reveals herself as a traitor by shooting Frank when Nada is far ahead, and finally, Frank dies. Nada decides to shoot the satellite dish that he believes transmits the alien signal, but the woman quietly sneaks up behind him, points a gun, and orders him to surrender. But he starts by shooting Holly before refusing, and finally, she dies. Then Nada shoots the dish until it shatters into pieces, but as a result, Nada is shot by an alien helicopter. However, he raises his finger to the aliens in a mocking gesture, provoking their anger, and finally the alien signal is cut off. They Live movie ends with everyone now able to see the aliens directly, whether broadcasting TV shows, frequently visiting the same businesses, or starring in movies. And finally, the world learns the horrifying truth. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification so you don't miss the latest recaps.